these lovely tractors.
Yeah.
What have we got here?
Yeah, it's a 1927 hart parr, a G model, I think it is. I'm looking up the serial numbers on it. Beautiful tractor. They're very, very popular in Australia as the most reliable tractor in the day, in the 20s.
One of my personal favourite tractors to look at, I think.
Yeah.
Stunningly beautiful.
Yes, they are. Fairly crude. They've just got an engine mounted on a chassis and clutch off to the gearbox. Drives the main axle back to two chain sprockets each side, and so it's chain driven. Back
chain
wheels.
driven on both sides.
Yeah.
So that would mean there's no differential in the
No,
brake.
no, she's driving the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, very nice tractor, this one I picked up.
An older restoration.
Yeah, older restoration. I had a lot of trouble with the magneto, and I sent that away, and we got it reworked, and we just mainly bolting it on. We had a bit of fun trying to time it all, so that in the end there, we're 180 degrees out. So
yeah.
it's either 180 degrees or 360 to line the
Easy
magneto
mistake
up.
to make though, isn't it?
Yeah. So once we've done that, I just we pulled on the handle, and then she just fired straight away. So
Yep.
we just had to make sure when we set it that we went a few degrees past top dead centre
Yes. Just
before
a
the
little bit of
magneto
time.
tripped, but that's on most magnetos too.
Yep. That's a smart thing to do
Yeah.
always, I think.
Yeah, they'll run, but they'll backfire on you and take your hand or your thumbs
Yeah.
or whatever off. And these are very dangerous if you didn't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I've seen.
There is a mark on the mudguard here.
Yes.
We had a bit of a mistake one day, and the handle went back, but there was no fingers involved.
That was
But,
very lucky.
Yeah, as I'll show you through what the procedure
So
is to
the
start
engine in a hart parr, for people that don't know, are a two-cylinder,
Yes.
horizontal
Yep.
engine.
Yes, they are. And then they brought out the bigger ones with a 4-cylinder.
Okay, so the 18, yeah, okay.
These-
So
these
the
are the most-
1836 has a two-cylinder.
2-cylinder.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
And-
Yeah, very popular tractor back in Australia. There was
Yep.
a lot of them come to the country. A lot have got exported to New Zealand as well.
Yeah, they're not necessarily a rare tractor to see around, but they're
No.
rare to see in this condition.
Yes, yes.
You see a lot of them.
You don't see them at field days or rallies too much.
No, but you see them in museums where they don't seem to move.
Yeah. There's a lot still on farms and all sorts of stages of disrepair.
Yeah.
Which is a shame really, but they are a nice tractor. I am an international man, but to have a hart parr in your collection is pretty damn good too. So
Yeah.
that's the way
I
way
certainly
look at it.
wouldn't complain.
No, yeah. But anyway, we'll see if she'll go. She'll probably make a liar out of me. It does start pretty well, but I'll try it without priming it. But we'll do the sequence.
So the idea with this is it ran recently, right?
Yes.
On last weekend.
Yeah, a week ago.
And
Yeah.
you think it might still have a bit of fuel in it?
If
So
it's usually they don't need a lot of fuel in the cylinders to even get a kick and fire. So
yeah.
otherwise they'll flood very easily.
So we'll give it a go without priming it, and if we look
Yep.
like idiots,
Yeah.
then we'll cut that bit out.
Yeah.
And we'll start it
Yeah, definitely.
by
definitely.
priming it first.
Yeah, hoping. Anyway, first a lot of these older tractors had oilers on them, so this hasn't got a sump at all.
Yeah.
The complete, all the bearing system, all the cylinders, all the motor parts, and even the valves are manually. You've got to use Orcan to lubricate everything, but all by oiler, drip feed oiler.
So it's got an oiler box
Yes.
on it there,
Yep.
and you can visually set your
Yep.
drip rate
That's
by just
right.
counting the drops per
Yeah.
litre.
Yep.
Similar to like the McDonald that I've also featured
Yeah.
on
Right. Yep. Yep.
in a video once before.
But very easy to rebuild. Get the cylinders out or pistons out. It's just a plate here, and you can have it running with the plate off, and it just shows you the entire workings of the big ends and just everything. Very very simple tractor, but proved very well in Australia.
Very capable. Tractor.
Yeah, very capable.
Very wide tractor as well, aren't they?
Oh yeah, very stable.
Yeah.
Fairly heavy tractor for its day.
Yep.
For something in the 20s, yeah. So a fairly big tractor to have. But anyway, we'll get on to we'll just wind this over and
I'll see if I can
pick out the drips and just make sure that it's all the lubricators are working.
Yep, you can see that.
And if they sit for any length of time and you don't start, it's best to once a month or whenever just wind these over, because once these oilers give trouble, you're in all sorts of difficulties, because they are a fickle thing to rebuild. And you're very limited to anyone who can recondition them. And get them working. But
you can also, you've got an oil sight gauge on the side there.
Yes, very, very, very important part of the tractor is that oiler. Where it goes
on the left-hand side is obviously the mechanically driven oiler. So that's once it's running, that's pumping the oil. That's right.
Yes. I know with this one I've got too much oil going into the cylinders. It does foul up the plugs pretty quickly. So I've got to adjust it.
That's minor adjustments at a later date.
But apart from that, she runs fairly well.
Try not to fall off the back of it.
Anyway, there's a few things we do to before we start. Make sure the clutch is disengaged.
Neutral.
Make sure that once it fires, it'll take off. If it's not, if anyone's jumped on it and played, make sure that's in.
Yep.
And I'll.
So how many gears have you got there? You got a neutral, a high, and a low. Is that correct?
Yeah. Okay. And I've already got reverse, high and low.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh yeah. So in gears, you pull that across, is it?
Yeah, pull it down and then knock that up. That one down there is for your belt pulley, off to the side. To engage that, you pull that lever back and that starts your belt pulley. A lot of them were used to drive, everything was chaff cutters or whatever back in the day.
I believe the Wallace that I've got, my 2030 Wallace, was used as a stationary tractor just to run a belt. The condition of the tractor is far too good to have actually done any field work.
A lot of the big prairie tractors virtually done that back in the day. In America.
Also, it doesn't have any. A lot of vintage tractors get stubble marks under the front axle.
Yes.
It doesn't actually tend to have very much.
So it's a belt machine. All right, we'll let that over here. And we'll open the breathers up on the cylinders just to decompress the engine a bit. There looks like there's plenty of fuel down there to me.
Okay, so that's where you would typically put a little bit of
just a few drops of fuel down. But if you do put drops down there, you wind it over until you hear the compression on number 1. It gets to top dead centre, and just as it goes past top dead centre, put a bit of fuel in it. Then do the same process for the number 2 cylinder. So just past top dead centre.
Number 1 cylinder, the cylinder to your right? Or?
Yes, this is number 1. On this side. And I'll set the magneto. So that's that earths it out, so it stops it. But I'll set it about halfway. And then the throttle. I'll
have a stab in the dark.
I'll just. It doesn't need much. I'll just keep it simple.
A few notches.
I'll keep it simple, but she's very touchy on the throttle. She revs up pretty quick when the But all right, well we're all out of gear. Maggie's set, and I'll turn the fuel on. It may go. It looks quite damp down in the breathers there, so. We'll give it a whirl.
I'm just seeing another lever on this side. Is this something to do with the what's that going to? On the fan
drive. So it's open shaft. So it comes off the main engine.
So that just pulls it. Friction drive.
Friction drive. An open shaft. To the radar. Now the Australians, this is not an Australian special, but they did change the air cleaners on the.
Yeah.
You've always nearly got a Donaldson type air cleaner set up.
Yeah, I did see that.
Stick up and the exhaust is up where overseas in Europe and overseas.
Yeah.
Well, when they did come out of Australia, the exhaust went underneath.
Yeah. Okay.
And come out through here.
Yeah.
So
Right.
exhaust poked out the front, but that's.
So you set fire to your crop as you go along.
Yes, and that was happened. So they were modified fairly quickly.
Yeah.
to,
Especially in one of the driest climates on
to
Earth.
prevent that. So that's why when you see on the internet, a lot of in the USA, the exhausts are down there, and that's how they originally were.
Yeah.
And they did export these to Australia, make an Australian and a New Zealand special, and because of the dry conditions out here in the heat, the header tank, the top tank, the radiator was quite a bit larger for to carry a lot extra water and water flow.
Yeah.
To more flow to cool it down. But they did run a bit hot on the Australian type climate. But very successful tractor in Australia. All right, we'll give it a whirl. And,
We're not cranking at the front, we're cranking at the side. I'm going to stand not in line with the handle.
So we had an accident when I first got it. So there's no fingers involved. That's why that mudguard's damaged.
Yeah.
And it went back with the crank handle, but
Well,
sort of learnt how to, but a lot of them cut it a bit short up here too. So.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of modifications where they crank them down here a bit away from different ones that have modified it just to make it easier. But anyway, we'll wind it over and you'll hear the magneto go off.
Oh, there's the impulse.
So we're coming up to number 1 now.
Yeah.
I'll bring it.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming up to number 1 again. See how it goes.
So that's number
There'll
2.
be a lot of fuel in there now. Very easily. I mean, the cylinders are fairly clean, so it's not a very hard starter at all. So
A very misleading engine light. It looks so easy to start, but could be so dangerous as well.
you gotta have a wits about you. You gotta be work with it for a while and just know how things fire and backfire and but here's a nice tractor.
Beautiful. And on all steel wheels, I bet you feel every bump.
Not too bad, but I'm going to put some lugs on it. So
it's not the best to drive up and down a ramp. Normally got to stiff bar it up to show that they don't have brakes. They'll just, that's how they work.
Yeah, no brakes.
No brakes on
They
it.
wouldn't want to live on a hill then.
No.
You do have reverse though.
Yes, I do have reverse, but you've got to be very careful.
That's the oh shit brake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
reversing up to someone if they're holding on to a drawbar,
Yeah.
or like that. But just got to be so careful that just there's no braking whatsoever, and that's how they work.
Yep.
Very crude sort of a tractor, but very practical and very reliable. But yeah,
They made the country though, didn't they?
they did. Yeah, no, they certainly out in the big open areas.
These are the tractors that the Australian economy were built on.
Yes. Yep. So they were voted the most reliable in the 20s at the time. So yeah, but they're a fairly big tractor in the day in Australia.
Incredible. And something to look so steampunk, I suppose, compared to like around the same time they were building Wallace tractors, which is like the standard of what a tractor should look like these days, I suppose.
Yeah.
To still be building something so unique, and for it to still sell and number one or most reliable.
That's right. Yeah.
Is quite a feet, you know.
That's right. They're a good drawbar tractor and they're a good belt pulley tractor.
Yeah. So 1836, that's horsepower, is it?
Yeah, so you've got 18 drawbar horsepower.
36 off the
belt pulley.
Belt pulley.
That's a fairly small belt pulley off that.
That's a very common way of gauging tractors, naming tractors back then, wasn't it?
Yeah, mostly all of them had their numbers. You know, they had their McCormick Gearing 22, 36, 15, 30s. You know, the lower the numbers, the drawbar, and the belt pulley's the higher number to go. Yeah. So very, very simple.
Beautiful. Oh well, thank you very much, Peter.